Welcome to Music and Medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Moshe Lewis. Really excited and ecstatic today to be joined by Somalie Inez. She has a wonderful foundation. We're going to talk about the cause behind it. Its name is Point of Love. They have a big fundraiser coming up that we're looking forward to with amazing musical guests. There's going to be the Manhattans of Sonny Bibbins, also the Climax group, which is of Cheryl Cooley, and also the Intruders. And this is coming up in just a few weeks, so we hope that you'll be there. Host is going to be Tyrone Dubois. So wonderful to have you join us. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the name alone is phenomenal. How did you come up with your foundation's name, Point of Love?
Well, I am divine love,
Yes.
and I love to pour love into humanity.
Sure.
So I figured pointing love towards humanity,
Oh, I like that.
and came out with Point of Love.
Sure, absolutely. And you have an amazing story. We were talking a little bit before we got started that you're from New York, I'm from New York. Talk to us about what it was like growing up there. And I know you're from the Bronx, at least spent some time there. I spent some time in Brooklyn. What things did you enjoy about growing up there, and what was that like with your family?
I'm actually from the Chocolate City.
Okay,
sure. Was born in D.C.
Okay, sure.
and then moved to New York.
Ah,
So I
okay,
started,
gotcha.
and then from D.C. to
Sure.
Lower East Side
Right.
in Manhattan,
Sure.
and then I moved to Boogie Down Bronx.
Okay.
So it was just the whole East Coast vibe is so amazing,
Yes.
and then I also grew up during the hip hop time.
Right.
So I got a chance to experience real hip hop,
Right.
real life.
Sure.
You know, throughout being on the East Coast. The East Coast. It's just I don't know, the East Coast vibrations are so
Right.
much different.
Yeah, well, it's got a lot of swag,
It
a lot of
is.
energy.
The swag is
You know,
different.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
hustle going on there and things like that. California's a little bit more laid back, a little bit more beach mentality,
Yeah.
chill, take it easy. So
It really is. It's totally opposite. When I first came to California, I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to, like, the beaches I can handle, like,
Sure.
you know, but it was just a different mentality of how
Yes.
people manage them, like how people handle themselves here
Yeah,
on the
absolutely.
West Coast to East Coast. So,
Sure. Yeah.
but DC was beautiful.
Yes.
I grew up in a little rough around the edge neighborhood and
Right.
stuff, but my neighborhood we were a community, even though we had a lot of losses and a
Sure.
lot of people were involved with certain things.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you can't cover that up because it depends where you grow up, right?
Right,
And
sure.
DC and Baltimore was like really off the chain back
Right,
in the day.
sure, right.
And then being able to like experience the Chocolate City, being able
Sure.
to like go to the White House on you know, Easter Sunday
Sure.
to do egg hunt, you know, Easter egg hunting back in the day,
Sure.
things like that, and go-go music.
Right.
So I grew up on go-go music.
Yeah.
I'm a go-go
Sure.
head,
Yeah,
the
the
go-go
Bengals.
queen
Sure.
back in the day. So and then I moved over to New York and
Right.
transitioned. I stayed in New York for a while, worked there for a few years, and then transitioned over to the Boogie Down Bronx, and
Right.
here I am in LA.
Right. But let's not go too far past your musical background, because if I'm not mistaken, the family was involved in the music business, and so that's really where you kind of really got a lot of your experience being able to direct and produce and promote and learn about what it really takes to make artists a hit.
Yeah. Well, my dad, Maxx Kidd,
Okay.
he actually had T.T.E.D records.
Right.
He's now gone, and he started in the music industry way long before all of us, the kids, and all
Right,
that. So,
sure.
and he got go-go music. He was the guru of go-go.
Right.
And I grew up. I was the only one out of all the kids that
Right.
basically followed his footsteps. I would go to the meetings with him. I'd go to I would learn his ways, how to promote a show, and how
Right.
to, like, I would just sit there and watch everything. Even though I was
Sure.
really young, I would just watch how he did things, and I started taking over like a lot of stuff, like learning how he did things, and then I started promoting my own shows, and I
Right.
started kind of doing things. But growing up in the music industry with him as well, he used to always throw us in the studios with everybody to
right.
sing backup. So me,
Right.
my cousin, my sister, we would sing backup. For whatever groups he'd put us in.
Sure.
After I grew up and realized we can get residuals, I
Right,
called him and
that-
said,
you're like,
"Hey,
"Wait a
Dad,
minute."
am I going to get residuals?"
Exactly.
He said, "No,
Right,
that's
right,
not
you
going to
weren't
happen."
listening. Right.
Yeah, so I'd hear the songs on the radio, and I'm
Sure.
like, you know, wait a
I
minute,
did
that's
backup
me.
on that,
Yeah,
right.
that's
Sure.
so.
Oh, do you remember any of the artists, any of the songs?
Well, I can say one of them was Chuck Brown, and it was like Sure You're Right. It was a lot of different artists.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
Sure.
And then I remember when Madonna got started with RCA Records, and my uncle, he was the vice president of RCA Records and Atlantic Records, and they did her record release in New York. So I remember going to that. It was just a lot of really cool things, you know.
Sure.
Back in the day, I love. Like there was, I'm not saying my life was always easy because it wasn't.
Right.
But I can honestly say that I really had a good life, in a lot of ways. It was a lot of heartbeats, you know. And so Maxx, which was, he was just been a very big influence in my life. He taught me, if you want hamburger money, then work hamburger.
Right.
Work and just get hamburger. If you want hamburgers, then you work and get hamburger money.
Right.
If you want lobsters, then work and get lobster money.
Right.
So I'm a lobster girl.
Right,
so
right.
So I've just learned how to really, I would say, take hamburger meat and turn it into lobster.
Right.
So
right. Make that lemonade.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that transition, because for a lot of people who have come from the East Coast to the West Coast, like you said, it can be definitely a different dynamic. What are some of the influences that kind of helped you make that transition or make you decide to do it, and what did you like about coming here when you got to the West Coast?
Well, I had a dream when I was a little girl, and I told my kids. I told my mom. I also told my kids about the dream, but I told my mom about my dream when I was little, and I said, "Mom, I'm going to move to California, and I'm going to be rich and famous. I don't know how and or what's going to happen, but this is what's going to happen." I was like such a little kid. I was like 9 years old.
Right.
And she's like, "Yeah, okay," and she just brushed me off. And I transitioned more towards New York before I came to California, but when I came to Cali, I felt like I was supposed to be here, and I felt like I was supposed to have been here way before.
Right.
When I came.
Sure.
The transition was really beautiful because when I moved out here, I met so many amazing people. My neighbor was Ernest Thomas.
Oh, wow.
And then he hooked me up with, he connected me with the Bridges,
Right.
Todd Bridges and his family, and they became my family out here. We used to celebrate like Thanksgivings and Christmas and Easters together, and I just kind of got looped in with a lot of really amazing people, and producers and casting directors would come up to me and say, you should do your own, talk show. You'd be really great. You got this high vibrational personality and stuff. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do it because of my weight.
Right.
And they're like, other people, Ricky Lake was heavy and Oprah was heavy. You should do it. It doesn't matter. Like, and I kept like turning things down. Sure. And I also turned things down because I wanted my children to shine first. And I used to always say to Betty, I used to say to her, I said, no, I just want to I want them to shine first. Sure. She's like, they can shine, but you can shine too, Somalie.
I like that. And who was Betty? Sorry.
Betty Bridges.
Yes.
Todd Bridges' mom.
His mom.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
And so she was really, we were really tight for a long time, just spending a lot of time together. And she was really an influence in my life in reference to like, encouraging me, like there was like that, I needed to be more into the business because she saw so much in me, and I was like pulling back from it at the time.
Sure. Yeah. What do you think helped you make that leap and kind of really decide, okay, let me at least take a small step? It's hard to take a gigantic step maybe at first.
I think it was because I was always doing entertainment since I was little. Sure. My sisters and I used to stand get on the pool table and sing Diana Ross songs and entertain. So I believe that everything comes full circle, right? Literally. So I was always meant to be here. I was always meant to do this, right? And I believe that the divine God, like whatever anyone calls it, right? Sure. Kept like when it's meant for you, it's going to be for you, right? Sure. So I believe that divine just kept on pulling me in, pulling me in and saying, you got to do this. So I feel that I'm way behind the game, as I guess you would say, because I kept on going against the grain instead of following the flow that was meant, and because I have a heart and compassion for people, people would always say to me, Somalie, if you do this, your voice will be able to reach more people. And I think that that's what that really tugged my heart to do it more, and to just say, forget about this and this and that, just go for it. And I just believe whatever happens is going to happen for you. So for me, I just allow the flow to, like, I don't go with the flow. I am the flow. So if the flow happens for me, and someone approaches me about something, I've learned not to say no more. And just kind of say, okay, I'll try it and see what happens. That's the adventurous spirit in me.
Exactly, right, clearly, and making that transition alone is a big step. What are some of the projects you've done out here that you really feel proud of?
Well, one of the projects that I really feel proud of is called Maya. Well, it started off as Maya, but it's been derived to Broken Songs. And it's based on my life true story. And I'm so grateful for the people that was a part of it to make it come to life. And I feel that project is going to touch people's lives in such a huge way. It's going to help couples become stronger in their relationships. It's going to give people faith. It's going to teach men how to treat women. It's going to give people that are sick, with chronic diseases and stuff, give them hope. It's such a broad. Even if we just work on the trailer at the moment, or the short film, you would say, but it's such a broad spectrum of how it's going to touch lives. And I feel that was one of my really sweet projects, and not because it was about my life, because I don't really own that story anymore. I don't feel that, for me, those things that happened in my life, I don't feel that I'm this victim. I feel that I'm a fierce overcomer that's going to go to the next woman and say, darling, I understand your story. I've been there. And I believe that the things that happened to me wasn't because I was being punished. It was because God was preparing me, to be this person, to be able to be multiverse with not just the women in my lives or the people that were close knit to me, but to be universal. No,
absolutely. And I want to take that poetry and put it in motion. When you had your child, you learned that they had a form of brain cancer, you were telling me. How did that come about? Because that's obviously a very big diagnosis to get. How old was your child?
Well, so as I was telling you earlier, he was basically forced into this world. And I don't mind speaking about it because I don't, I've been through my healing process. So he is a product of rape. And so my pregnancy was really rough because the guy that raped me kept on coming around. And at court, he would leave the court and then he would try to attack me outside the courthouse. But then the judge ended up getting the bailiffs to start walking to me in my car. And so I think a lot of the abuse that he did, like he would whatever he could. It was a very stressful pregnancy. He would come and throw a farmer's rake through my window and just stuff. So I think a lot of that, the trauma might have caused it. But there was also like environmental stuff that could have caused it as well. So when he was 2 years old, so at first when I gave birth, I had a very traumatic delivery, and we both almost didn't survive, and that's where the paralysis came in. And then from there, as soon as I started walking again, he was diagnosed with brain cancer, and at 2 years old. So then he had a total of 4 brain surgeries so far. He doesn't want any more surgeries. So,
understandably.
So what I did was, Children's Hospital in DC basically said that they could no longer do anything for him. I have friends that worked for NIH and different cancer organizations, and they said, Somalie, you should take him to California. They have they have a lot broader ways of being able to help him. And so I brought him out here, and then he had to have another surgery, but he's still alive, actually. And I would say the transition as a single mom, bringing my 2 young children here, and was it was interesting. I came out here first to get it set up, get Children's Hospital set up and all the special needs stuff set up for him. So when I came with the kids, at least he was ready. But as soon as we got here, a week later, he was in the hospital. So for a few months. So it was it was interesting because my daughter had just started high school and he was in the hospital and I didn't have, it was a lot going on. I didn't have transportation. We only knew like 2 people out here. So it was kind of like I had to manage things to make it work where my daughter can go to school and be normal, but then she had to come and sleep at Children's Hospital with me and my son because he was staying there, so we didn't even move into our apartment until like November or something like that. No, very complicated transition. I mean, you've developed such a positive spirit about all of it, and this is so many layers and so many levels of complexity. How do you feel that you have achieved some of that resolution, not only in the circumstances of his birth, but just then some of the sequelae afterwards? I had a couple choices in my life. One, to be an angry woman.
Right, yes.
2, to be a drug addict or alcoholic. And 3, to blame the world for everything that happened to me. And the last one was to create and be the best that I can be in this world and rub off that light onto others. So I chose the bigger one. I chose to be light, and I chose to be able to be an example and be a leader and be, a positive person to be able to help. I want to help people. I've been helping people. I remember when I was 12 years old, I used to volunteer at a nursing home, and I used to also take care of a special needs woman. I never knew that was going to come back, or I was going to have a special needs son. But I was 12 years old taking care of the special needs woman, and everything is full circle. Like you never really realize that what you're doing as a child, that it all comes back, right? And so I chose to hire. I chose to just do that. But throughout the process, it took a lot of healing.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's not an overnight.
Yeah, it's definitely not overnight. And I'm happy and proud of myself, who I am today, because while I was going through the healing process, it was hard. You're broken, you want to be there for people, but you can't even be there for yourself. And and at the time, a lot of stuff was going on. I became a mom. So when I became a mom, I had to change up completely. And I was like, I have to give my oldest, child, my first child at the time, everything. And it was a lot of growth. It was a lot of understanding. It was a lot of getting deep into myself. And I always say the word Selah.
Sure.
Pause and reflect. And I always have to remind myself to pause and reflect and see what's my next assignment, what God wanted me to do. Because now I'm not just responsible for my life, I'm now responsible for this one, and then my daughter, and then my next son, So I feel that for me the healing was like you said, a process that you go through, and it was a lot of, you break down, you're crying, you're writing, and so that's where I've always been writing poems and in my journals and stuff growing up, and I would write songs and things growing up, and I realized that my writing was my healing process. So I started writing my books and my scripts and things, and it was like, it ended up becoming like healing for me in a sense that, wow, because as I was writing it, I would start crying and I would start tearing up, and I'm like, but then it was like released. Yeah. So I feel that, and that's why my nonprofit, our tagline is healing from inside and out, because you can't heal from the outside until you heal from the inside first.
Right. No, that's so insightful. I also was inspired when I saw we were talking about your project of doing like a laptop giveaway. Very practical, very needed. Talk to me about like not only how you got the concept, but also how you pulled it off, because it's not easy to do.
Well, during COVID, so I'm always serving in the community. I'm always parts of somebody's nonprofit and somebody's something. And I've always, from the time I was young, I've always, again, going back to when I was young, like I've had dreams and visions and things that I wanted to do. I was like, oh, I want to buy a warehouse and house people that are homeless and feed people and everything. But I never really had my own nonprofit because I was was a teenager, like
right.
kind of wild, hanging out, doing all stuff back and forth from New York, doing just out there, and just being, when you're in entertainment, whether it's in the music or not, you're always on the go doing stuff, right? And I decided, because I was serving all these different nonprofits, and I was like, oh, you know, and I couldn't speak, like say, hey, don't forget to do this or whatever, because I'm a creative machine. And again, my heart is how I want people to treat me. So there was a lot of things that I felt like was like, there was a lot of holes. So during COVID, I was actually got a chance to sit my butt down and start and create my own nonprofit. When I did that, I was like, okay, what can we do from home, you know, to be able to still help people? So we started giving people yoga classes on Saturdays. We started doing classes, songwriting classes. We started doing how to release stress courses. And we also started doing like, what is your purpose courses? And we were doing it all on Zoom. And I was like, wow, you know, there's a lot of people that don't have laptops and stuff. And a good friend of mine, which I call him a brother of mine, his nonprofit had laptops, and I contacted him, and we just started collaborating. And I was like, yo, Rama, do you want to, you know, collaborate? I got a whole bunch of people that need laptops, and we can get them. You give them to me, and I can get them out. And I have a wonderful team. My team on my nonprofit, we're small, but we're mighty. And we put it together, and we got the laptops, and we were able to do our first laptop giveaway in LA over there at the train station. And we just had people register, and we just said, hey, and then it was just all referral based, so we were able to give out the first 79 laptops. Then we did another one, and we started adopting a school. So then I adopted 2 schools, one elementary school and then one high school, and we gave them all laptops. And I was like, you know what, we need to give them cases. So I got, and my girlfriend Nika King, she wanted to get involved because she would volunteer with me sometimes. So she ended up getting the laptop cases, and we'd go back and give everybody the laptop cases. So it just kind of happened, so that way the children can have laptops. It was really for the children. But what happened was adults needed laptops too. And I was like, I'm not going to turn them down, because, you know, they can't go to the library, or if they were going to the library, you know, it's hard, especially with one lady. She had 9 grandchildren she was raising. And she was like, oh, she was so grateful. She's like, I don't have to go to the library no more. And yeah, so I just felt, and then other people, you know, they wanted to start their own businesses and stuff. And I was like, you know what, that's something that we do with children that are aging out of foster care. We help them find their purpose, in a sense. What do you want to do for a living? Do you want to start your own LLC? Do you want to? So I just went ahead and released the other laptops to some of the adults, just so they can have it. And yeah, it just became like a piece of who we are as Point of Love, to not just being able to like do the healing process from the Zoom stuff that we were doing, but at least they had something physical they can, So
you've got the spiritual.
We also offer tech
and
support
the tangible.
too. Yeah.
Oh no, that's awesome. And now you've got this big fundraiser coming up. Tell us about it. I know it's February 23rd.
Yes. So Point of Love Foundation presents this, it's called Travel in Time Love Box benefit concert. And the reason why I called it Travel in Time, because you announced everybody earlier, Intruders were actually, they first started in the 60s. Although it would say that they started in the 70s, but they actually generated in the 60s. And the Manhattans started in the 70s. And Climax was in the 80s. So 60s, 70s, 80s, and the benefit concert is for the elderly. So the people that's paved the way for us, the people that has, like, without them, we would not even be here, right?
And often are forgotten.
Exactly, they are very much forgotten. So, and we, in my nonprofit also, we help with children and domestic violence and all the other things that we talked about, you know, which people can go and see that we're a tree with many branches. But I kept saying, I see everybody raising, you know, doing things for, you know, the kids for you know, the holidays and this and this and that and everything, so they're taken care of. And you know, and I know that I'm always going to be there to take care of them. And we, we're going to help women of domestic violence when they need to go into a safe house, or children of abuse, or veterans, or the homeless. We're going to do everything that we can for everybody else. But this time I really wanted to zoom in on the elderly.
Right.
I just feel, I love the elderly. I love sitting down and listening to their stories.
Sure. And they're amazing, aren't
they? They really are. And they love company. And they love, when they don't have visitors, or when they don't have people that think about them, they get lost, and they get lost into their soul, and that's how they die. And we don't want that. We want them to be around. And so I chose nursing homes that of elderly people that did not have family members, or family members have dropped them off and left them. And the nursing homes also told me that some of the elderly are coming from the streets, from homelessness, or coming from hospitals. So, and I also found out the statistics of the people in the nursing home are also men, more men than women.
Wow.
I wasn't even aware of that until I spoke to the caseworker at the nursing home. And so I decided that we're going to do, when I called and said, what do you all need? Do you need diapers? Do you need this? They said, no, we need blankets. We need beanies. We need mittens. We need socks, coloring books and crowns because they love the color. They want scarves because they like to go out on the patio and, and they get cold and things. So I decided we're going to give them love boxes filled with these things, and even coloring books and crowns. And I also have a coloring book that I created. So I'm going to have those printed up and give them that as well. And we're working on getting plants, because live plants, not flowers, but live plants, so we can give each one of them a plant in their room, so they can have something living in their room to give them life.
Can watch to grow.
Yes. Yeah.
Sure. Where does the spirit of generosity come from? Because you've been blessed, but you still work very hard to pull all this together, and it's not like, oh, just write a check and it's no big deal. So where do you get that inspiration?
Well, growing up, sometimes I didn't have a lot, and and then of course, becoming a single mom, my levels of what I could offer my children sometimes were up and down, because my son was sick all the time. So when I would lose my job, I didn't have money, and when I didn't have money, I couldn't do for my kids. But I was really blessed, because I had a lot of people that were in my life that really helped carry us through, and it's just paying it forward. And not only that, I really have a heart for people. I really do. And I love not just people, but I love animals, and I love the earth, and I just really want to take care of it and nurture it, and just be that, not just a mother to my children, but to a mother to humanity, and just being able to not just heal or feed or teach or guide, but just be that stamp, for people and to this world, just using my voice to just say, hey, it's okay, and it's going to be okay, and it's going to be it's going to be better than what it is, or we're going to rise up, or whatever it is that someone needs to hear at the time. So I think that was maybe one of the reasons why I have the heart of this generosity thing. And also regarding our nonprofit, honestly, I've taken everything out of my pocket and donated it to my nonprofit to make the show happen. And my wonderful board of advisors, she's also part of it, and my amazing son, he also helped. So, and everybody on like I said, our team is very small, but they're all well, we can help a little bit. So we're all donating to use this money to, but we still need help. We need sponsors, and we need all types of sponsors, which we have a wonderful publicist, which is Wet PR, that is actually helping us get a lot of this stuff going for the swag bags for the VIPs, and for catering for the VIPs and the artists, and we need hotel space and transportation and things like that, flights and all that stuff. So it's a lot behind the scenes, which I've used to produce so much in the music industry, and then of course producing a little bit in the film industry. But I have a really good feeling about it. I feel like it's going to be great, and we're just going to, just let it flow. Allow the flow to be.
Absolutely. Well, you deserve to be blessed. I mean, your caring spirit and your warm heart, it comes across, and it just literally flows, from everything that you say. It's clear that it's sincere and it's heartfelt, and I don't think we have enough of that. The world certainly, they say in the song, needs, love, sweet love, and I think your desire to pour it out and to give to others is magnanimous. We can't have too much of it, so certainly anything we can do to help, encourage this. So on that note, tell us where it'll be and where people can find tickets and about your foundation.
Yes. So the benefit concert is going to be at the Saban Theater, February the 23rd.
Yes.
And it's going to, the doors open at 5:30 because the artists are so amazing. They're willing to do a photo shoot and autographs from 5:30 to 6. And then we're going to have festivities from 5:30 to 7. Where we're going to have a violinist, and we're going to have our step and repeat red carpet, and I have a friend that's an artist that's going to come and do sketches for people. We're going to have a 360 camera, and vendors, and even if we still have space for a few more vendors, if vendors wanted to come through. So the festivities is from 5:30 to 7, and then the doors open the concert starts at, the showtime is at 7 p.m. And they can get tickets from pointoflove.org. They can go to our website.
Right. Doesn't get any easier than that, pointoflove.org.
Yeah, pointoflove.org. They can go right to our website, and there's a link to the tickets. There's a link for volunteers. There's a link for sponsors. There's a link for media. There's a link for vendors. So, our website is pretty clean. It's really easy to get through. And there's a link for donating. Excellent. So if you cannot come to the show and you really want to be a part of making a difference in the elderly's life, just donate. And if you want to buy tickets for other people, put a memo that you would like to purchase 2 tickets or at $29 or whatever tickets you want, and then we'll take those tickets and donate them to someone that can come through as well. So, so there's always a way to be able to be a part of this. And I just want to make something really clear too. My team and I, we don't get paid. Like a lot of nonprofits pay themselves out. We don't pay ourselves out. We don't get paid. Everything that my team and I do are all volunteer. Because a lot of people know and are aware, nonprofits usually take a lot of, and they pay themselves out. We don't do that. We do this because we love what we're doing. And everybody says Somalie, why do you do entertainment? Why do you do music? Why do you do this? And why do you write? And why do you want to do what all the things that I do? And I said it's so hard to choose one because everything I do is because I love.
Right, you enjoy it.
Yeah. So if it's something I don't like, I'm not going to do it at all. Sure. So I don't like being in front of a computer. That's why I have other people that do that for me.
So I give those away.
Yeah. So, but I love anything that has to do with the things I love when it comes to music and performing or creating or writing or anything in that aspect. I'm down. Let's give it to me.